Hello and welcome to 10 Walks that Explain the Netherlands with me, Nicholas Walton. This is the fourth walk that I'm doing in the Netherlands, and this one is going to be on the beautiful island of Texel. This is the fourth video that I'm making of that fourth walk. I'm near the end of it and I thought I'd actually make the most of the fact that I'm on an island and get my feet wet. It's absolutely lovely. Now this walk around Texel has been really lovely, and the issue that I've been talking about, if you've seen the other videos or if you've read the fourth chapter of my book, Orange Sky, Rising Water, you'll know that this one is about when the Dutch turned to the seas, or to the oceans even more than the seas, because they turned to the seas before, and they were able to forge this extraordinarily large overseas empire, stretching from the Caribbean through to the Dutch East Indies, which is this vast archipelago, far dwarfing this small country in northwestern Europe. And for centuries it provided money, a lot at first, especially from spice and sugar from the West Indies, and it provided a great deal of prestige. This small country was more than it looked because it had this empire. But of course, one of the big impacts of empire on modern day Netherlands is the multicultural makeup of the Netherlands itself. Yes, places like Morocco and Turkey have brought a lot of people to the Netherlands after the Second World War. And that's nothing necessarily to do with empire. But there's a lot of Surinamese, there's a lot of people from what used to be the Dutch East Indies, now Indonesia. You get Indonesian restaurants, you get Surinamese takeaways, and it's multicultural. Netherlands owes a lot to the empire that lasted for all those centuries. Going back to when I used to live in Delft, just before I left I met a really remarkable woman. Her name was Tilly Kaisiepo, and she was from West Papua. Now West Papuans are Melanesian. They're not Southeast Asian, they're not ethnically or linguistically or culturally similar to other parts of the great archipelago that now makes up Indonesia. And at first, West Papua, the western half of the island of New Guinea, was not part of the new Indonesia. But gradually the pressure from the Indonesians was just too great, and the Dutch no longer had the will or the ability to keep hold of this, and so West Papua was turned over and eventually became part of Indonesia. Tilly Kaisiepo was 11 when this happened, and she came on a KLM flight, she remembers, when she was still a very young woman. Now she's a grandmother, and she settled in Delft. Her father was an independence leader, a big politician from over there, which is one of the reasons why she left. She couldn't stay there. She's never been back. She's never been back at all. Her father's died, buried in the cemetery in Delft. She's now a grandmother. I met her grandson, actually. She was a fantastic woman. She had a purse around her neck made of little beads in the colours of the West Papuan flag, and she ran a community garden in Delft, which basically she welcomes other people who are refugees of some form or another, so that they can, although there's a bit of a waiting list for the garden, there's an area where you can come and sit and have a cup of tea or coffee. So basically people who are in her situation can come and they can just get on with life. They don't have to keep their heavy hearts, I suppose. That's the way she would have described it. But she doesn't want people to forget about West Papua. And she's just one of the many, many, many thousands and thousands and thousands of people from Indonesia's old empire who have, in one way or another, I suppose the term is, washed up here. There were people who were, also the white settlers, the Dutch, the mixed race kids, they were all brought back as well. There were others like the Moluccans who fought for the Dutch against the Indonesians. And for many years they were kept in, the whole idea was they didn't want to actually set up home in the Netherlands, so they lived in very temporary accommodation, dotted around the Netherlands, trying not to let the memory of their part of Indonesia, the Moluccan Islands, be forgotten, a bit like Tilly. So when you look at the Dutch Empire over the seas, over the oceans, you can't just really think about the Golden Age, the VOC. You can't just put it in terms of the slave plantations and the Atlantic slave trade. You can't just think about Sukarno. You can't just think about the Japanese turning up. You can't just think about, the Independence War and Raymond Westerling. You can't just think about that as being something in the past. There, behind me, you can just about start making out the mainland. And the channel between here and the mainland is where those VOC treasure fleets gathered all those years ago. Perhaps make their desperate voyages down to the nether ends of the world. Different times, but times that are still with us.